Good evening to all those who are viewing and are here with us. The learning never ends. In photography, as one keeps searching, exploring, seeing, and seeking, the answers reveal themselves. And this really never ends, but with time and technology, we can now learn from each other.
पिलर डाल दिया मैंने.
Never in our history has this sharing and mutual learning been amplified than in the past 4 months, even as the world turned towards a very distinct possibility of a digitally connected future. It is with this spirit, is in this spirit that we decided on bringing you the Objective Students Career Conclave 2020 by HP and Intel in association with Better Photography. This is a conclave where some of the most experienced professionals across industries address students, informing them about their fields, their careers, and their secrets of success. In the sessions ahead, across the next 2 weeks, the Objective Students Career Conclave will be covering a large number and a large variety of topics, and not only about photography, but on everything from writing books to having a great on screen presence. So far, we have had uh, four excellent speakers speaking on subjects ranging from the basics of photography, the importance of good mentorship, to what it takes to be a good student in photography, and on what makes a good photographer. Today's session promises to be illuminating. The speaker for this evening is Prashanth Vishwanathan, a visual communicator working in the development sector and on news and assignment stories from all over India since 2006. Prashanth's topic today is particularly interesting. The topic is What's in Your Bag? A checklist for the new age photographer. But before we have Prashanth address the audience, we have a short presentation for you from HP. Once again, to all the viewers, thank you for being with us. Before we move on to our main speaker for today, please let me introduce you to Divya Ved from HP. She will be speaking to us about the HP Chromebook series of laptops. These multifunctional laptops are especially perfect for students and fit many requirements. And Divya is here to speak about just this. Divya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Madhavan. Well, my name is Divya Ved. I feel we all have a better understanding how technology is enabler, how it helps you gain education as well explore your creativity. So let me just make you go through some features of Chromebook which can be really useful for study or work during these times. What is Chromebook and why is it important? A Chromebook is a laptop which is based only on Google operating system. To all those who don't wish to go for Windows and just keep it simple to a browser, choose a Chromebook where it makes work much more easy because of its 5 major USPs like speed, security, simplicity, shareable, smart. Let's start with let's start with speed. Boots under 10 seconds. No long load times, no confusing setup. Chrome OS is designed to be light and fast updates automatically in background. So doesn't slow over time and no manual intervention. Security. Security from the start verified boot, performs self-checks to repair any system corruptions, always ready security with built-in virus protection and auto-update sandboxing. Web pages and apps run in isolated environment to prevent infection from at-risk pages. Simplicity. Familiar, easy to use, no setup needed, just log in with Google account. Familiar and intuitive Chrome and Android ecosystem, 1 million plus Android apps from Play Store for work, play, create, watch, and listen. Shareable. Collaborate on a project on Google Docs, Sheets, and Slide with automatic saving of files connect. Create, collaborate files are backed up in cloud and are available anytime across all the devices. Easy multi-accounts login for everyone. Just switch the account and get personalized experience. Smart. Learn, adapt, evolve. Built-in Google Assistant feature for faster and smarter work without lifting a finger or switching screens. Make Google do it. Access the Chromebook with Smart Lock on the phone with local language inbuilt. Work in any language. Coming to the next most impressive part, how can Chromebook can be used for work from home as well as learn from home. By reimagine your office, Chromebooks are secure, simple and shareable devices that help you stay productive and connected. Here are some helpful tips for working from home. Simple setup setting. An HP Chromebook is easy. Simply log in to your Google account to get going and access all your Google Drives, files, Chrome preferences on your Chromebook. Apps that get the job done. Google Play provide access to apps for getting work done like Microsoft Word and Google Docs. As well, video conferencing apps for collaborating remotely with teams like Google Meet and Zoom. No monitor, no problem. Cast your Chrome browser tabs to Chromecast enable TV or use virtual desks to expand your desktop. Work safely from home. Chromebooks keep you and your data safe from malware thanks to multiple layers of security and automatic updates. Learn from home. Keep on learning. Chromebooks are secure, simple, shareable devices that help you stay productive and connected. Here are some helpful tips for continuing to learn and study at home. Apps for study and learning. Google Play provide access to essential apps for studying at home and connecting with others in real time like Google Doc, Google Meet and Zoom. Study safely from home. Chromebooks keep you and your data safe from malware thanks to multiple layers of security and automatic updates. Now, why Chromebooks are special for students? World of Android apps on laptop. A laptop that runs over 1 million of your favorite Android apps and more for a bigger, more immersive experience. For example, gaming apps, streaming apps, office, editing apps at certain level. Voice-enabled Google Assistant works on your speech and words. Play, send, mail setups. All HP Chromebooks are Google Assistant enabled. And last but not the least, let me tell you about extraordinary feature of Chromebook. Chromebooks work offline as well. No Wi-Fi, no problem. HP Chromebook have access to lot of apps that work online or offline. Just like any other laptop, you can do things like edit docs with Google Doc and Microsoft Word, watch movies with Prime Video or Netflix app, download playlist with Gaana, Spotify app, play games in offline game apps. Chromebooks have Microsoft Office for free. Microsoft Office is available on Google Play Store where you can download the apps you want. Word, Excel, PowerPoint work on Microsoft Office program free from Chrome Web Store. You can also open, edit and save Microsoft file in Google Drive. It has enough storage for all your work. HP Chromebooks come with hard drive plus cloud storage plus micro SD card slot. 64 GB SSD card on board, 100 GB Google Cloud, 256 GB expandable is equal to 420 GB space. It has G Suite for education. Communicate, collaborate, manage, administer your data. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much everyone for your patient listening and I request you to please go and explore Chromebook at HP World Store. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Divya. That was a good talk about HP Chromebook. But let me just bring Prashanth on as soon as I can. Our main speaker for today is Prashanth Vishwanathan. His topic is What's in Your Bag? A Checklist for the New Age Photographer. As I had mentioned, Prashanth is a visual communicator, a visual storyteller, working in the development sector and on news and assignment stories from all across India since 2006. In the webinar, Prashanth will touch upon his experiences on the field, what should be in your photography bag, and the importance of making notes on the field and having backup gear. Let me just introduce Prashanth with a bit more detail. His experience varies from working for newswires, Reuters, Bloomberg, Getty, the newspapers, also with newspapers like the New York Times, International Herald Tribune, the National, and magazines like the Forbes, Business Week, Time, and Newsweek. He also works with non-government organizations like UNDP, UNICEF, Save the Children, International Labour Organization, ActionAid, and other feature agencies. Today, the focus of his work is on documentary filmmaking and photography. He co-runs a production agency called J. Productions and directs films for corporate social responsibility, international non-government agencies, and for news media. Social media communications and dissemination form an integral part of Prashanth's work. Thank you so much for joining here today, Prashanth. The stage is yours. So when you see yourself on the live screen, you can please start. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly well. Thank you, Prashanth.
Okay, thank you. So, hi, the introduction and the bag that the topic is about, what's in the bag, also shows the various things that a photographer needs to do and various kinds of work a photographer does on his journey as a photographer. So, I started as a photojournalist, became a development sector photographer, then photojournalism demanded video, then we started making films, then we went into a bit of sustainability, corporate sector shoots, then came back to the NGO world, and now I'm back to news because the kind of coronavirus uh, is something that brought me back full all the way into news. So it's like a full round of different kind of things that you experience and shoot, different kind of requirements of photography. And as per the requirements of photography, changes your the need of what you are going to carry on that day. It's what's in your bag is more to do with what's happening in the world of photography today defines what's in your bag. Like sometimes like maybe when I started in 2005 6, I would have never had maybe an internet or a a smartphone for the camera in my bag. Because I never thought about those things having enough quality. But as the days have progressed, you have various kind of dissemination devices also, as well as photographic material in your bag. So I have just sort of made a presentation of what is now in my bag to start with. And as I show you things, I can also talk about various things, various kind of different shoots that we do in under different circumstances and what we need in a bag and how the bag changes. So first of all, let's reverse track and come to today. Today, the most essential things in your bag is a sanitizer, a mask, and a glove. Because the kind of exposure you have in today's corona times, one should be very, very particular about keeping oneself safe, even in under any circumstance you're going to shoot. So yeah, that's something that's always in my bag. I'll show you some, something like a sequence of things that I have in my bag. Can the screen be shared? Yeah. So I started with a blue screen. You can go next. So a mask, next, um, a glove, sanitizer, of course. So evolving from a photojournalist, this is my new, medium format camera, digital camera. So more to do with portraitures because in the Instagram square world, suddenly the format of me trying to shoot from a phone only, I try to go, a little more serious on that aspect. So this is my square format, medium format camera. Next, uh, a DSLR like Mark 4 or a A7 S2 is something that's always in my bag. So this is the 2 camera setup that I work with, and it changes with every kind of shoot. Fujifilm comes out when I want to go for a portrait shoot, a wedding assignment, or a corporate kind of a portrait shoot. So the medium format comes up, the Fujifilm. The Canon is my go-to camera for all kinds of shoots. The Mark IV. Next, storage. So with the evolution of technology, there is evolution of storage too. We need a lot of storage nowadays. It's not easy to download your images like a series of JPEGs, and you just dump it on your laptop and you can keep working. Your laptop will get slower and it will not work. So storage is important. Next, um, and backup is important too, because in the digital world, it's just not storage; it's backup that becomes even more critical than storage. So everything is twice backed up in every shoot of mine. So there's a two, and that too, those orange hard drives are rugged hard drives that can take a journey of on a bus or a train or a you know which can you can edit while there's a lot of shakes. So that's a very strong built hard drive. So it's a bit expensive, but it's good to invest if you are taking your archive seriously. Next, okay. So so there are two kinds of assignments. One is a journalistic assignment, and one is uh, I would say a development sector or a non-journalistic assignment. So how can I separate the two? In an assignment where one has to shoot on the go. So there are things that are going to happen in front of you, and things are going to move, and you're going to move. Things are going to move. In those kind of assignments, this is my gear. So the standard thing is 2 backups, 2 cameras, and with Corona, the PPE kit, which will go with me. But now let's go to the lenses. So the 70-200 is my go-to lens if I go to a. It's very good for social distancing. You can keep far away and still get pictures. But it's also go-to lens when I do news assignments. Next, the 50 mm. So this is I have some standard lenses in my bag that never gets out of my bag. One of them is this 50 mm, because 50 mm is one of my favorite portrait lenses, and cannot live without it. So getting you next. Then comes out the 24 mm. So uh, when I started my photojournalism career, we used to only shoot with one lens called the 16-35, which has this supremely wide angle perspective, which kind of even destroys the regular perspective by pulling the edges. And one senior photographer once took me aside and said, "Prashanth, you do good work, but you're not respecting perspective." So I said, "What does that mean?" He says, when you're shooting subjects that are very sensitive, you can't shoot with such a wide lens and show just because you want to get more things into the frame. So I realized, then I did some research and I found that 24 mm is kind of the best lens, or 28 mm actually, where the perspectives remain straight. So that lens has been in my kit for like last 10 years. So 24 mm and a 50 mm are my fixed lenses that I use. Next. And then the go-to lens for survival, especially in a video, is 24-70. So when you do a photo and a video, the basic difference is photography goes for the detail or a moment or an emotional photo and freezing that in time. Video is a continuous movement of events that lead to that point. So in a video, you need different kind of lensing to show different images. And as a photographer and an individual photographer, unlike a film crew that are many people, we need to be light. So a 24-70 lens kind of helps me give that perspective of having a wide to a tighter frame, especially in video. Also in video, you do 3 shots, like wide, mid, and tele. So you kind of get that also in 24-70. So that's why that lens is always there. Also in new situations, it is the best replacement for a 16-35 mm lens. So 16-35 helps a lot in new situation, but 24-70 is also as good. You can go next. Don't forget your cards. I know it's funny, but You don't know how many assignments I have like begged for cards from friends because I forgot that folder of mine. So it's tough. That card case has to be in the bag all the time. So my card case is in the bag even if I'm not shooting for months. That card case will not leave the bag. Okay, so that card case is very important. You can take the best equipment in the world, the most of sophisticated cameras, but you cannot record a single thing without fast cards. So that's the card case is extremely important. Can you go next? Yeah. So the evolution of cards. So I remember a time in 2007, I was shooting an assignment off location, and I had a 128 MB card, and someone in my group of photographers was accompanying me had a 4 GB card, and I almost cried that he's going to do so much more better work than me because he has so much data. Now I don't think I can exist without a 64 GB card, that to like 10 of them, because the data has also increased, but the content of shoot also has increased, and the storage of devices have gone stronger and better. But one thing I must say, a lot of cards corrupt. Card management, card handling, and card usage is a big art form by itself. I have never ever got a corrupt card because I never ever use a card without formatting it on that given day. So, and never use a Fujifilm card on a Canon on another brand. Those are the reasons the cards get corrupted. Always use it in the same ecosystem for a card, and always use it into the same camera. Have dedicated cards for dedicated camera. That's what I do, and format it every time you shoot a new day. Not every hour, but every time you download it, you format the card. That kind of gives it long life. My cards break, they don't corrupt, so it's a big because once your card is corrupted, you've lost data from the shoot, so that's a big problem. Next. um, Now the same goes with this item that has just appeared on the screen. Is the battery. One is you need to have the battery on you. Second, you need to have the battery charged. So you may have the best gear, but without a battery and battery charge, your photography is not going to get done. Next. Okay. In case you have the batteries and the the camera, but the batteries are not charged, always carry one charger. The charger is also an important part of the bag, and especially if you're going out of town. Even if you're in town, I would say I always have one pair of chargers of every kind of Canon and a Fuji charger in my bag. Next. Oh, chargers. And the there is one more thing here, is the small wire on the corner, which is USB cable. Now that USB cable has some interesting point. Imagine nothing works, your card reader doesn't work. That USB cable can connect your camera straight to the computer. So whatever happens, the USB 3 cable is always in one extra handy to be kept in your bag for any eventuality of card readers not working, cards not working on the system, or any such technical issues like the ones we have had today, that net is not fast enough. So stuff like that. Next. Um, Both multiple cameras, multiple batteries, and their chargers, and the card reader. So the card reader. So when I pack a bag, I think of the whole workflow. From the time you need to shoot, you need to select on your camera, you need to download, you need a card reader, then you need to back up to hard drives. Of course, you need a laptop too, and then you need to for transmitting the internet. So you need to see whole pre-production to post-production, the whole thing that goes into your bag, right? So that's very important for you. This is like a basic bag, but there are variations of it. Next. Um, so yes, so this is the okay. Can I come back to myself? on the screen? Hi. Sorry, the light is gone and the ISOs are spiking on my camera. Can you hear me? I think okay, I got it. So I would say the difference between the difference between this bag and any other bag are a very few minor changes, which are something to do with your submission and what you want to show. So, what do you want to do in the shoot? So, there are shoots where we are required to nowadays shoot for social media also. So, for example, I am on a shoot, there is something happening in front of me. My editor is asking me to send images from the DSLR camera right away to them because they want to tweet about it before even you get back to your hotel room or back to your house. So they want to just tweet it right away. So there is this whole package of a smartphone, uh, an app that connects to your Wi-Fi of all your cameras, including Fujifilm and Canon Mark IV, the Wi-Fi now, where you select an image, it appears on your phone, you edit it a bit on a free software, and send it off on WhatsApp or Twitter or whatever is the medium that you have, earlier decided with the client, or an email, and the image is there online before even you come back home. So that kind of an editing process is also something that you think of when you go on shoots today. Two, I also have shoots where I carry one 50 lens and one 35 lens, and I walk on the field for weeks and come back and edit it, maybe 15-20 days later on my own time, and then make a project out of it. So these are two different uh, kind of bags that you will pack. For the others thing, you'll have only like two cameras and lots of batteries and chargers and cards, etc., and backups. While for a quick shoot, you may have more to do with wires and internet and all those kind of things in your bag. So it totally depends upon the shoot. Different kinds of shoots give different kinds of lenses you will pack, different kinds of thoughts different kinds of items you will have. So this is one such example, and I would love to hear and talk about it if there is a possibility with from who's people.
Of course, we are also looking. We are getting questions even as as you are speaking. There are questions that are coming through, but we will actually move that to the Q&A round once you are done with your presentation, Prashant.
Oh, okay. Because because I think I'm going on talking, so I thought I'll just ask if there is people who have understood it or not, or if they're with me or not. Okay. Um, Actually, presentation wise, I've had an issue with not being back in my studio because of some issue at home, so I have to leave when I'm in a different space. Um, can we take the Q&A session longer, and I can explain or show things and stuff?
Certainly, we can actually begin the Q&A session right now, and maybe you can,
I can
uh,
include things in it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Expected.
with that, we are going to have an elongated Q&A session with Prashanth today. So here's the Q&A.
Do I have to see somewhere the questions or?
Yeah. So the first question. Diffusers, and oh my god, the kids used to be pretty massive. Now I think things have largely improved, because the dynamic range of digital cameras are huge. There's instant, there is a something like a little room for error. That was what it used to be. So among the questions that are coming through, one of the most common questions is that, you know, careers in photography today have become very diverse and varied. But what are the kind of careers that one would expect to see, especially in a COVID-19 situation? Uh, so what would you say would be the kind of careers that you can expect students to look out for in photography in this kind of situation?
Okay. Okay. On a lighter note, I'm going to ask Conchita to share a camera bag of a very famous photographer. His name is um, Ansel Adams. And once the photo is through to her, she'll share. Because of this double sharing, I'm not able to do things very smoothly, but I will try my best. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. One second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I stopped hearing myself. So I was like, what happened? So the thing is that there is the corona is a shocker to everyone. It's not. It's a completely unplanned set of events that I think nobody even imagined a scenario like this, where the grinding world of industrial revolution from the 17th century came to a halt suddenly in the 21st to 2020 for like maybe 3 months. It never stopped. The chimneys never stopped working, and suddenly, it's a grinding halt. So everybody's reevaluating, everybody's rethinking, everybody's recasting their uh, the purpose of their existence itself to a purpose of a business. So everything is being re-questioned in a certain way or the other, including a very tough, unorganized sector called photography. So I would say the issues with photography as a sector or as a paymaster or as a as a career is the fact that they are unorganized. Okay, the best painters in the world in India, sorry, would be sitting outside JJ art gallery painting portraits of people to survive, but their names in the industry are big. While someone like MF Hussain would paint uh, 6 or 5 portraits for 15 years. Sorry, from the age of 15 years to 60, whenever he passed away, the day he passed away, also he made apparently a portrait and passed away. So he is like the way painting has gone to a profession, or poetry has gone, for example, as a profession. Photography is also an expression of a prose and a poem, right? So it has its implications as a text, it has its implication as a document, as a photo essay, as a multimedia, as a visual story, whatever. Like you can call it different names, but it has a language that it speaks. And people who speak that language are becoming too many. Second, they're becoming too many. You have only the people who have great language skills, a beautiful language skill, will be able to survive as a connoisseur of the language. Like let me say, like only as that. What the usage of the language can be for multiple people. For example, the marriage industry. I think it's the most well-paying industry among all the photography industry. Maybe only second to advertising, but in advertising you need a lot of experience. So marriage is a huge money-making, money uh, you know, value industry. So, but the usage, the value of these images are only for that couple or that family of that couple. More than that, it's very tough for anyone else to make sense of that image in any other context. So uh, every every industry will have its niche, and photography is going to go niche now. You may be able to sing a surtal well. No, not surtal is more of a beat, but you may be able to sing one rag well versus another rag, or and then you are hired to just do that rag for a like long time, and then become a specialist in that rag, and then you create a rag which is a sister rag of that. So how music has gone in that kind of a zone is where you will be. But also remember, there are few masters in music and millions of students. So same in photography, there will be like few people who would be really, uh, you know, able to project themselves as photographers and survive in the way the older generation did, because there was a barrier for entry. There was a lot of learning when there was a negative, and they had to develop a negative and how to shoot. So the next image that I want to share, I think Conchita can share, is the bag of a photographer called Ansel Adams, who is supposed to be one of the pioneer photographer of his times, shooting beautiful landscapes, and that's his bag on a donkey. He used to carry this wet plates for eight hours to the mountain top before he could take one image for 18 hours and then come back the next day, just like with 8 plates of just one image. So yeah, the bag has changed a lot from that time. It's much more easier to carry. You may say it's heavy, but it's far. The donkey is much more much less pressurized now. So we can take that away. Yeah. So the issue with careers in today's corona time is that everyone is deciding their finances. Photography was in was for a long time the profession of the privileged. It became democratic. A lot of us has entered it, and we have tried to make our forays into it. But now with the pandemic and everyone redeciding existential things, photography in many of the aspects where it was what was done very freely may not be necessary. But given the social media revolution and the way we look at ourselves as an image rather than real ourselves, and the image online is as important, photography still has some roles to play. But who's going to pay, how is they going to pay, these are things that only a few more years will define, I think, because corona will change all industries in some way or the other. The shift will happen. Just waiting for that. Just now we're just surviving on the clients that we have from long time. Because I don't think anything new is happening right
Right. So my second question, this is a quintessential question actually, about the careers, because every student wants to know, abhi, ab kya? What is going to happen now that the coronavirus situation has occurred? What is the future for tomorrow? But I think the one takeaway from whatever you said is that diligence and perseverance is very, very important, as it is important in any field. It is required. So it doesn't matter. After all, photography is an art form. And if you want to really do well in an art form, you have to persevere and you have to be diligent. There is a question that came to mind in my mind, so I'm going to ask that. Because you have one medium format camera in your bag, and you have a 35mm camera in your bag. That's a lot of lenses and a lot of weight. So how do you manage that, especially when you're on the field? How do you manage to, because a situation can present itself anywhere. So how do you manage that?
Okay, that's where the bag comes into play, like what you carry. So what I do now, I do have a bag issue. It had to come someday. I think every photographer has it. So I do have. So what I do is I gauge a situation and carry the Fujifilm has a 50mm fixed, so never changes. So the other lens can be either a tele or a wider lens. Mostly it's a 24 or a 35, or I do have 135 or a 7200. So when I am on a 7200, I know the widest I can go is a 50mm. So it is okay on certain kind of shoots. It's when you're doing news, then you go safe. You go 24-70 and 50mm, and then there's a second camera that you have a small bag where you have a 7200 and you change with the 24-70. You have the whole range 24 to 200 in a new situation, because that's required in a new situation. But like if I'm shooting for the UN, I'm shooting some project with children in a school, I'll stick to my 50mm and 35mm. That's enough. Like children are beautiful when we're not too close to them, and their face don't distort. I don't know how to go at 24mm. But I also have a different way of shooting. I shoot a lot of um landscapes with my 7200, with my tele, not with my wide. and I shoot a lot of close-ups with my wide lenses. So it's something that I do subconsciously maybe, but that's how a lot of my camera's grammar is. So if there is a situation which is a bit needs a tighter shot, I would be rather with a wide lens and either. I'm shifting from the 24 to the 35 so it's a bit of a journey because the 35 is tighter and a little bit tougher than the 24 but that's also because as a photographer you need to keep challenging yourself. You get comfortable for a while, you stagnate and you become repetitive. So it's a problem that any art form faces. If you want to know about no jobs, no work, and lot of practice and lot of cutthroat competition and pricing, you should go and listen to stories of ballerinas. You know, they literally train, and then they have much worse problems than us. So I'm like, photographers have it easy. Like it's fine. It's a tough world. It's a tough call to shoot, but it's very important that you. So you carry two lenses. That's how you reduce the weight at that point. And the bag is lying around with either a car or a cab or somewhere because I'm thinking of that situation where you have a place to put the bag. If there is no way to even keep the bag and it has to be on you, then I would go with a. If that is the situation, then I go with a 24-70, 70-100 combination. That you have all the what do you say focal lengths and you can survive a shoot under any. Does that answer your question?
So here's a question that has come from someone who is probably trying to build a kit. So usually the first camera gear kit is it's a very basic thing. It's one lens and it's a kit lens. Where does one move from there? Is the question. How do you build your kit from there?
Okay. Two ways. One is, first of all, don't think that your one camera is not letting you do good photography. Good photography has nothing to do with a kit lens or a camera lens. Good photography is to do with a good understanding of the constraints of your lens and camera and utilizing that to the best extent. My best work was done with a 20D. I don't know if you know there is a 20D camera used to exist, but that was like the first
absolutely. Yeah, I've used the 20D.
20D and a 1855 f 5.6 kit lens. I still feel I don't shoot like that anymore because I have all the lenses in the world and the best ones, and then I'm like spoiled for choice. But at that time, I knew what that lens can do and what that camera can do, and I really like worked that part. So you're not restrained by having that, but then invest in lenses. Lenses last more than 50 to 100 years. Cameras keep changing. If you keep going for the latest camera and not for the latest best lens, uh, what will happen is you'll have a camera for 4 to 5 years and then you'll not even have support of it. These companies shut support. 20D, if you have today, you go to the shop, they'll not even repair it for you, right? So it's gone. So it's like it's important for you to invest in lenses. So the issue that happens then is a different one. Is you have a Canon kit and then you're stuck with Canon cameras. Now there are converters that do autofocus. So like now you can even get a Sony camera on a Canon kit and have a compatibility with the lens. So world is changing, and tomorrow I think it will become a generic. There'll be like any lenses of any cameras will fit any cameras. Like those kind of combinations will happen. But what is more important than cameras are lenses. The technology of lenses don't change. Like they are good glass. We call it good glass. So the good glass doesn't change. Like the 24 1.2 of maybe 2001 or 99 will be gold if someone is saying it. I will buy it today. So it's like this. So it's the lens is not the problem. It's the investment you make, and the cameras will come. So don't worry about it. Even that lens in your camera right now will give a very good difference, right? So you don't have to change the camera, but lenses will.
Here's a question that's I'm going to tweak this question a bit. It's being asked by obviously a student who is wondering whether they should invest in full frame. instead of APS-C? It's a quintessential, again, one of those questions that, that is quintessential, because again, in your camera bag, there is medium format and 35. So,
Full,
um,
full frame.
so full frame
Full
or
frame,
APS-C?
full frames are defined by uh, clients. Let me be frank. It's just that my client expects an X quality, and I have to give that quality because that is the price I'm charging him or her, right? So I would not go down on that. So for me, a full frame is like I can't even think of any new camera coming up with a crop frame. I don't even look at it. Like I just look at the full frames. The reason is one and only is that my photographic style is a lot dependent upon depth of field. Okay, and full frame and non-full frame does affect it. Full frame has a better depth of field and better quality, so that is the reason that I can't look at a non-full frame. But if I have to give a blanket statement that everyone has to have a full frame, it's a client call. It's not an individual call. A lot of brilliant photographers I know don't have full frame. They just have good photography sense. Like
Right.
photography, right? It's not on the camera, so they have got good sense. So it doesn't matter what they shoot. I know a photographer in Bombay who has never shot a raw image. But if you ever see his images, you will be like, how does he manage that light and that lens and that camera? And he has like a crop camera, so it doesn't really matter that the image. It doesn't matter. It does matter to what is the output. So I would say if you get a big client and you're not yet there as a regular photographer and you just got one assignment and you have to have a full frame, hire a camera. Hire a camera. It's not so expensive. Put it to the client if he or she is ready to pay. If not, take it on your cost because you're starting out and hire the full frame and shoot it and give that assignment for that value. But don't buy a camera and you need to have so many assignments a month to even pay the EMI off for the next 2 years. Doesn't make sense. You don't buy any expensive cameras till you get 10 assignments a month.
Thank you.
Going
That's a
under that. It
that's a
doesn't
very
make
sound. That's very sound advice, actually. Okay, so that's we have time for just one more question before we end the question and answer session. So this is the last question. How do you maintain your gear, especially if you're out shooting in the monsoons?
wrong person to ask that question because I'm in this much water a lot of time shooting. So I don't think it gets maintained. I think the Canon guys get really perturbed at what did you do inside this camera? I'm like just clean it up. I'm not going to answer you. But you have to understand that, especially as freelancers, the gear is yours. Firstly, second, nobody pays you for maintaining the like nobody pays you extra for upgradation of your equipment. Your equipment is like your soul, so you have to maintain it. So one or few things that I would recommend for monsoons is that uh, invest in splash proof systems. So there are nowadays these covers that come that can be put on every kind of camera, or there are, if you go to DI do it yourself YouTube videos, they will talk about black taping certain parts of the camera for water damage. So if you go through all that, you get a good idea of where you can save your camera yourself from. And then of course there is a technique of putting a plastic cover on your camera and putting the the UV filter over it, and it may have an edgy one small edge somewhere of a plastic, but that's far more dealable online on the edit rather than completely wetting your camera. Lastly, when it is raining, there are a few images that look beautiful, but you are mostly going to shoot around rain. Like rain is just one part of it. So actually when it's raining, be careful with your cameras, but around it, the wetness of the environment, nowadays cameras are pretty splash proof to take care of that part. So uh, I would say that venture out. Don't sit at home and think that it has to stop raining. For sure, I'm not that degree of photographer. So I would take the risk, take the cameras. Actually, take cameras that you don't use. That's one way. Take cameras that are older or something. So you kind of can take it into harm's way. But having extra plastic sheets, and one more thing, sorry, an umbrella. Umbrella helps. Umbrella, nothing comes near an umbrella on top of you to save the camera, because it umbrella actually has the best protection. So keep an umbrella like this. This is the position you shoot in all the time. But it helps. It does give you good image. Yeah, I hope
Thank you
that
so
helps.
much, Prashanth. Thank you for being with us. That brings us to the conclusion of the Q&A session. This is the last. That was the last. We have a short presentation by. Yes. So I'm back. Uh, Thank you everyone for that session. Thank you, Prashanth. That was actually quite enlightening. In fact, there was a point back in the day where the bag was always a treasure trove of tools, for all kinds of eventualities. And you're right, the kind of weather sealing. There was no weather sealing back then. There was the kind of weather sealing because if the camera got wet, the water was actually getting into the camera. So today there's weather sealed cameras, there are splash proof cameras, and depending on the kind of situations that you move in, I think you opt for gear of that kind. As a professional, one has to be always prepared for all kinds of issues and contingencies. As they say, what can go wrong, likelihood will go wrong. And as professionals, it is our job to save the day, so it's best to be prepared. And Prashanth, thank you. It was a wonderful talk. Let me introduce you to um, Divya Vaid from HP, who will be speaking about HP Chromebook series of laptops. These are multifunctional devices, perfect for students. Divya, over to you. Thank you so much, Divya. That was a good talk about HP Chromebook. To all the viewers out there, thank you for watching. The conclave will continue with several other speakers all the way up to September 3rd on a daily basis from 6:30 p.m. onwards. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow, on the 25th of August, tomorrow is Tuesday, on the 25th, again at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., we have someone very interesting. Sohini Dutt is a producer and television anchor on CNBC TV 18. She is going to be speaking about camera etiquette in an on-screen world, something that we all can learn from. On the 28th of August at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., Dr. Pooja Vijay Sukhija will be sharing her knowledge on presentation excellence, the secrets of speaking powerfully. You can register for the webinars at pmglive.in/photo under microsite. I'll repeat that, pmglive.in/photo underscore microsite. This concludes our fifth session of the Objective Students Education Conclave 2020 by HP and Intel in association with Better Photography. We have many more coming up from 6:30 to 7:30, so do tune in. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Prashanth. Thank you, Divya, and have a great evening ahead.
Thank